Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond.
Yay!
Welcome everyone to this episode of the Peace and Possibilities podcast. My guest is Alle Pierce. And let me tell you a little bit about how I know Alle, which is not very much at all. So I'm excited to talk to her and get to know her today. So Alle is I'm guessing friend, because you were referred by another Alle that we know.
Yes.
But so I interviewed, oh my gosh, now her name. So tell me, I cannot believe I'm even.
Alle Stone?
Yes. I know it was something simple. I've been emailing so many different people today. I'm like, I need to stop trying to multitask. I'm sorry, Alle. So,
well, it's hard with the two Alles.
Yes. So Alle Stone was on my podcast maybe like 3 months ago. And I came across her at a marketing event, an influencers marketing event I went to, I think in January. And when I met her from a distance, I didn't even talk to her that day. I was like, I gotta get her on my podcast, just because of the way she was lighting up when she was talking about what she was doing. And she seemed happy and peaceful and content. And I was like, she's perfect for my podcast. So I reached out to Alle Stone and said, Alle, do you know any other people who are happy and loving what they do? She's like, I certainly do. I said, well, send me them so I can talk to more people like you. So that's how I came across Alle Pierce, who's on my podcast today. So thanks for joining me, Alle.
I'm so happy to be here. And I love that, like, we have the synergy of the two Alles sticking together. Alle Stone is just a gem and a half. So I'm so happy that she recommended me. And it is true. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. So thank you for having me on.
So how did you meet? How do you know Alle? Just real quick. I was curious.
Yeah. You know what? It's so funny. I was just talking to her about this a couple days ago because she had forgotten how we even met. But I moved back home to Chicago in 2018, summer of 2018. And I attended some sort of like influencer conference, and it was in New York. And I went up to one of the speakers who had formerly lived in Chicago and asked him, I was like, I'm new to the area. I've, grown up in Chicago, but I don't know, many people in the blogging content creation world. Would you be able to like recommend a few people or some groups I could join? And he just so happened to be really great friends with Alle Stone. And he's like, reach out to her. Let me connect you via email, and she'll be able to point you in the right direction and help you out. Well, lo and behold, 2 years later, she's now my like go-to photographer here. She and I are good gal pals. And it's kind of amazing what a small network it is and what a small world it is sometimes.
Well, how smart of you to go up to someone at a conference and ask questions, because that's what they're all about, right? Everyone's like afraid. They just listen and then they leave. It's like, no. The whole point was for you to go there, connect with other people, hear people's stories, ask questions, which is what everyone's there because they want to make their network a little bit bigger and meet new people. And so kudos to you for doing that, because it's an easy thing to do, but not a lot of people do it.
Well, you kind of feel sometimes uncomfortable, but I have to credit my mom for like teaching me that way a long time ago. She always was like, you need to ask questions. You need to raise your hand. Like, don't be afraid to talk to people. And so I probably wouldn't have done that had it not been for her teaching me that way back.
Oh, I love that. We've done that for our boys. I have for years. And I'm hoping I know it's already rubbed off. I can tell one of them's already out of college and the other one's about to go to college. So I can already see it in their everyday interactions. So it's nice that we're being listened to again.
Yeah, for sure.
So Alle, tell me about what you do, because I want the audience to hear a little bit more about exactly what you do. And if you knew that what you're doing right now is what you wanted to do when you were growing up, or your little journey to where you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do now is not at all what I thought I was going to do when I was little. I mean, to be completely transparent, when I was little, I thought I was going to be a backup dancer, which, spoiler alert, I am not a backup dancer right now.
That's
But
funny.
right now, I am working as a freelance on-camera host. And I work with a lot of like tourism boards, hotels, events, conferences where they will hire me or my production company to help make videos or kind of like a series for them to help market their products or showcase their event. And I've been doing that since 2018. So almost 2 years of doing this. And aside from that, I actually have my own podcast, which has been kind of a new project that I've just started working on. And I also do a lot of travel content creation. So like I have a travel blog and, do some stuff on my Instagram as well. And as if there's not enough, but I'm also learning to be a travel advisor. My mom is a travel agent, and it's kind of where my love for travel began. And so I'm starting to learn how to plan trips under her right now. So I'm doing all the things, but this
Oh,
is not at all what I went to college. Well, I guess it kind of is what I went to college for, but not where I thought it would be.
yeah, I was going to ask you. So you went to college for something else and then thought you were going to, or went to college to be a dancer and thought you were going to, or yeah, backup singer or backup drummer?
Yeah. So actually, it's so funny. Let's go back into high school. In high school, like I thought I was going to be a dancer. And then, having that conversation with my mom and just kind of like talking about a career that would be really long and not really exactly have a expiration date, which for some professional dancers, that is the case. And so she was like, let's get you set up with like a career coach or someone. And so I had this like weird, strange interview with this lady who was a career coach, but honestly, I think she was like a psychic or something.
Oh.
And because she was asking me like the most random questions, like, are you a person who makes lists? What kind of earrings do you like? Big earrings or small earrings? Like, what colors do you gravitate towards? Is there anything under your bed right now? Like the
What the
most
heck?
random questions. But through that, she came up with the fact that I would be a really good broadcast journalist. So working in local TV news. And I was like, great, we're going to run with that because I had no other ideas. And so we, looked at all the colleges. I wound up going to the University of Missouri, which is known for its journalism school. We have the #1 journalism school in the country. And I studied broadcast journalism there, and with the hopes of one day going and working for E! News in Los Angeles. And so I spent about almost 4 years out of college working in local TV stations in California.
Oh,
Yeah, it was an interesting job to say the least. It definitely I wouldn't be where I am right now had I not had those jobs and had I not had that experience. I mean, working on breaking news, covering earthquakes, covering red carpets, covering wildfires. It ran the gamut of the things that I got to cover. And it also was the job that taught me that this is actually not what I want to be doing,
mm-hmm.
which led me to where I am right now.
Okay. So how did you go from that broadcast journalism career and those type jobs to marketing products for people?
Yeah, it's so random. For local TV stations, you typically are working on a contract basis. So you sign, 2-3 year contract. And so I was about a year out from my contract being over. And I was at the point where I was like, all right, what am I doing? Am I going to LA and trying to break into the entertainment industry? Am I not, am I looking for another local TV station? What's happening? And so through those conversations, I was talking to agents, I was talking to other people within the industry, trying to get some advice. And everyone I talked to was like, all right, well, if you want to work for E, you need to go and work in this local TV station and then bounce to here and then go to here, and then you can come to LA. And I was like, no, like that's absolutely not what I want to do. But what everyone was telling me was like, such a formulaic straight path where it's like you do X, Y, and Z and you'll get to your desired outcome. And I was like, but I don't want to do X, Y, and Z because that doesn't make me happy. And I really am unfulfilled doing that. But I do want to get to that end result. And so there has to be some other way to get to that end result. And no one was helping me in that, on that journey. Like no one could understand that I didn't want to do the traditional route. And so it got to the point where I was maybe a month out of my contract being done. And I was just like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know what I'm doing right now is not what I want to do. So we're just going to jump off into the deep end and figure it out. And so that's kind of what happened.
It's so smart because it's your, when I heard you say, okay, you're asking for advice, people like do this, and this, and you'll get here. Everyone's assuming that this, and this is, you have to pay your dues, work the, this is how it works if you want to get to Z. And you weren't saying, I don't want to work. You're just saying, wait, that's the only way. No, that's not the only way. Like why not ask another question? Why is that the only way? Maybe that isn't. Maybe that's what everyone else is following. And those people that are following it are probably a lot like you, thinking this doesn't sound right or feel right, but I'm going to do it anyways because I want to get to the end point. And though there wasn't another path or maybe 5 other paths, because you didn't ask any questions, you never found out what they were going to be. So you have to be willing to take that risk to jump off, like you said, or say, wait a minute, let me ask another question. Is there another way I could do this? And then go find out. And if there's no one helping you, you have to be your own advocate. You have to be the person that goes and asks questions and does the research so that you can figure out another way. So kudos to you for doing that early on, and to your mom too for showing you that it's not just always, you have to be willing and able to ask questions and seek other paths. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. And what I will say is, kind of like putting it all together, like how the heck I'm even where I am right now. I was working at a TV station in Palm Springs. That's where I was majority of the time. And the tourism board out there, they were creating these amazing videos showcasing the destination. And there was a girl who was the host of them. And lo and behold, she had used to work at the TV station that I was working at. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to her and see if she'll maybe like have a phone call or grab coffee with me just so I could ask her how she did it. And, we sat down for coffee. And I went into it with the mindset of like, I want her to be very aware that like, I'm not trying to come in and steal her job. I just want to know how she did what she did so that I could do it somewhere else. And that's exactly what I said to her, which funny enough, after I said that, she being the most amazing human ever was like, well, wait, we actually need more people to do this at our tourism board. Like, would you like to come on and work for us? Would you like to do this video series? Would you like to do this, this, this? And it, now they're one of my biggest and most amazing clients that I love working with. And that might have never even happened had I not just randomly decided to ask her to coffee and try and just kind of find out what her process was.
Not it might not have happened. It never would have happened if you hadn't asked that question. That's what I love about the whole, like I was trying to teach, I've been talking to my kids about these concepts too. It's like, just ask questions and meet someone and say, don't ask them for anything other than I'd like to pick your brain. Can I buy you the coffee so that I can pick your brain? And I'm really just wanting to know, it used to be called when I was getting out of college, informational interviewing, and not many people did it, but you'd be surprised. Number one, people like to share their story and they like to help other people get to where they want to go. But you were smart in saying that, I'm not finding out so I can just come in and how'd you do it? And I'm going to come and steal or try to, finagle my way in there. You're just saying, I just want to repeat what you did and then go do it somewhere else. And those are the kinds of statements that make other people want to be helpful and say, of course, this person's not looking for like a free little ticket or easy way. That's the exact person that they want to give the opportunity to. The person that was willing to go out on a limb, the person that says, I want to do the work, show me how to do it. And then those are the people that get they say that it's lucky or coincidence. That's not what it is. You had the right mindset and you ask the questions so that you could have those opportunities. And it's a testament to what I've read a lot about and what I hear a lot about growing up, even and now, of course, is that those are the people that get the opportunities. And I'm so glad it happened for you that way, because We just need more proof of it, because if the more proof we have, we more, okay, I am going to try this. It doesn't have to be just this way.
No,
Um,
it's so true. It's so true. And I always try and say that, our college, Mizzou, has a lot of, alumni stuff. When alumni come back, it's such a huge place where lots of TV news anchors come back, and they always, share advice with students. And it's one of the things I always say when I'm there is, whenever you're initially reaching out to someone, there should really be no ask. I mean, you can ask for a phone call or maybe like a conversation, but your initial email should not be asking that person for something, for a job, for, a contact or whatever.
Yeah.
It should be just coming from a place of service at first.
Yeah.
And that's really how that's how I've gotten any single job or connection or client ever.
That's a beautiful way to say it too, coming from a place of service, because when you're serving, it's sincere, and that word is like how can I help you, instead of just like here's what it's not like it's just coming from a different place, a different angle, instead of just saying, like, you need me, or it's less arrogant, and it's not like, they may have an opening for someone and then you have to keep proving yourself. Instead, it's like, how can I serve you? What would look best for you? Going back to ask them what they need, and then talking to those statements, instead of just like pushing yourself on them and trying to prove yourself. It's a much better way to come through it, for sure.
Oh, yeah, 1000%.
That's great advice. Okay, so next question.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in this career? Like about 2 years now, or how long did you do the journalism stuff?
Yeah, so I graduated from college in 2014, and I left TV news in 2018.
Okay.
And I honestly really count a little bit longer in working in local news, because while I was in school at Mizzou from my freshman year, the university owned an NBC affiliate station. So from my freshman years, I was on TV working as like a reporter and an anchor. And so I mean, not very good, mind you, but I was doing it. And so I would say it was about 8 years that I was working in local TV. And then this new part of my career, I'd say almost 2 years at this point.
Okay.
2 years in June.
Okay, so this new career that you're loving, all these different cool things that you're doing that are kind of all tied together.
Yeah.
Would you say what pieces of what traits would you say made you successful? Like you said, it's kind of like, seems like you've had an easy time of getting clients because you've been talking about serving them. So what are some of the other things that you've done to keep you successful, so that this career you can keep doing what you want and it's going well for you? What do you attribute that to?
So much. One, I think working in the corporate world honestly gave me all the foundational aspects that I needed to be working for myself currently. As much as I really did not like working for someone else, and I wouldn't have known that had I not had that job, it gave me the understanding of like deadlines or professionalism, or simply how to speak on the phone to someone, how to write an email, how to be accountable, how to work on a team. And so all of those things that I learned in local TV news and working in that world really set me up and prepared me for working as an entrepreneur at home, because it was not an easy switch at all. Like, I think we all think working for yourself sounds like so glamorous and it's easy and you can wear your pajamas all the time. But like, I think I would have needed that foundational setup to kind of navigate this new world that I'm working in right now. So I think there is something to be said for anyone who wants to do entrepreneurship, to have that experience somehow working in a team or in some sort of professional corporate capacity that does set you up for success as an entrepreneur. So I would say that. But I would also even like take it so much farther back to like growing up as a dancer. I had some really tough coaches that would pick you apart, tell you, you're doing this wrong, that was bad, do it again. And I grew such a thick skin. And I also grew that thick skin with the help of my mom also being someone who would not be the first person to tell me like, oh my God, sweetie, you're doing so good. It was actually the opposite. Like, you could have done better. What was that? And so having a thick skin, I don't know, really made me ready and able to handle any sort of criticism or critique, constructive or, otherwise, that I might get by putting myself out in a public platform in the way that you are when you are on camera, when you are, I guess on a public profile on social media and online. And so I think that thick skin was something that I'm really grateful that I have, because, when you get a mean comment or when you get someone saying, hey, that could have been better, I didn't like the way that you do that, I feel much more equipped and able to handle those criticisms or feedback than I would if I hadn't had those experiences, going back to maybe when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, that's so smart. And I think that anyone would benefit from having experiences like you were saying, teaching kind of like the ropes, the foundation, and how to live in a business world or work and be successful, or how to navigate the beginnings of a business world, even if you do have, because an entrepreneur is still in the business world, right? It's just a matter of you working for yourself. And if you didn't have all of those little pieces of how and why, and you probably still would have been successful, and maybe it would have taken a little bit longer because you had to grow, kind of like putting on those training wheels. Like you would have had to, navigating wouldn't have been as easy in the beginning. So that's cool that you had that.
Yeah.
And then you can take it, you only had it for a couple of years and were still able to take it and turning into something that you were able to do for yourself, which is admirable as well.
Yeah, I feel pretty proud.
You should feel proud.
Yeah.
So so I know that you're, at the beginning of your career still, what advice would you have for someone who was in high school, or, even someone in their mid-20s, mid-30s who's saying, I don't have the meaningful career I want. Maybe they don't want to do exactly what you're doing, but they want to be an entrepreneur, or they just want to have a job where they're using their strengths. What would you say to them, or what advice would you have to someone like that?
Yeah, I would say, it starts with your gut feeling. And I know that sounds a little like woo-woo and like, what a throwaway comment. But like, I really think, if I think back to those days I was working in local TV news, like I was doing some of the things that I thought I wanted to do, but like I knew in my gut that even though it was a glamorous job, even though it was fun to get recognized, even though it was fun to interview celebrities, like in my gut, I knew that this was not what I was meant to do. And I had the opportunity to ignore that feeling and continue on. And I was getting job offers for different amazing opportunities. But like really when I sat back and got honest with myself about how I was feeling every single day when I went into work, which was this pit in my stomach, dreading it even the night before, you kind of already know whether or not you can continue in that career. So I would say, like, for anyone who might be feeling that currently in their career, know that feeling and then decide what you're going to do about it, because you can just kind of cover that up and continue moving forward. And I think a lot of people unfortunately do. But if you choose to face it head on and also make a really scary decision to leave comfort, leave your health insurance, leave your salary, whatever, to pursue that passion, I think you'll, hopefully in the end, at least I'm living proof of it, that it will be so much more rewarding and fulfilling. Even though you might certainly struggle and have some issues, probably in the process. But I think trusting that gut feeling is something that I would be the biggest piece of advice I would give someone else who's thinking about maybe making that switch.
I love that. It's a personal question, but I could answer it too, just to make you, if you'd like to answer it. But how quickly did you know that you made the wrong decision? Was it in the first, you got into that career, broadcast journalism, you're like in the pit of your stomach? Was it like months of you thinking it's fine and then realizing one day, or was it like right away? Because I know for me, when something's not right personally or professionally, I usually know within 3 weeks. And if I go back in my life, now I'm 50 now, so I have a lot of these clumps of time to look at, but it's always been within 3 weeks. I'm like, nope, no, I need to do something different. I'm just curious how long it took you, or if you
Oh,
knew, you know, yeah.
sis, listen, like I think I knew while I was in school, and the thought process for me was, okay, well, I have to do this thing I don't like doing, which was reporting on breaking hard news, the murders, the shootings, the
Mm,
terrible, sad stories. And it is what's kind of taught in broadcast journalism, where anyone who wants to work in entertainment or the fun, fluffy stories, you have to pay your dues working in the hard news, getting that experience, that rapport, all of that to be able to do the fun stuff. So that was like ingrained in me early on, that like, okay, I'm going to have to do the hard stuff that I really hate doing, that really makes my stomach churn because it's just not what I was put on this earth to do, in order to get to what I want to do ultimately. And so I could probably tell you that I felt that what I was setting myself up for, I knew I wasn't going to be happy to do, but it was in my mind that like, this is what I have to do in order to get to do the entertainment stuff. So I
okay.
knew that
Okay.
when
That makes sense.
yeah, like I knew that when I was in school. I knew that when I got my first freelance job working at a station in the Central Coast of California. I knew that when I got my job in Palm Springs. Like I fully knew, and it was just in my mind that, oh, well, this is just what I have to put up with.
Okay, so yeah, and that there's the big difference there, right? It's one is you thought these were the dues you needed to pay to get to the point B, and the
Mm-hmm.
other is it's not right. Eventually you're not maybe thinking you didn't want to work for someone else or be in that you know news at all. But
Yeah.
there's a difference between I have to pay dues. This is gonna kind of suck for a little bit, and then I'm gonna get to have what I want, or like this isn't right. No matter how hard I work and how much I um, do the grind and think I'm paying my dues, it's still not going to work out because you're not in the right place. So I think it's kind
Absolutely.
of a little both going on.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit of both. And like, I don't know if this is coming off in the podcast, but like, I am a goofy, like bubbly person, loud personality. And so it felt, like it was a morning anchor for many years. And, it felt weird to put on the blazer, to put on my anchor voice
Mm.
and do that whole thing. It never felt like I was truly being myself. And as soon as I left, and now what I'm doing right now, I feel that I can be 1000% Allie, versus where when I was working in that former job, I felt like I was putting on my like costume and I was playing this role.
Ooh, I love that. That's such a better thing to be 100% yourself than putting on a costume, because that's exhausting and
It is.
depleting, and also not ever going to put you in the space of creativity and that energy that you need to go get the next thing you want. Feeling feeling
Yes.
like you're kind of a fraud.
Oh yeah. The imposter syndrome was real. But you know what? To be honest, like I struggle with imposter syndrome even now. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a host. I don't know what I'm doing. So I think that's also something that I'm not sure if maybe that's unique to entrepreneurs or anyone who's in business, but that is something that I do sometimes struggle with.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more, but there's books written about it. And it's definitely more common in women for lots of different reasons. That's a whole
Mm,
nother topic.
that's a
Um,
whole other podcast.
so I have a TV reference for you before we get to our last question. There's
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Apple TV or whatever. It's with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, and they
Oh
are
yeah.
co-anchors. Have you seen it? The morning show.
Oh girl, and I can tell you from working in that same industry, it is extremely accurate.
Wow. And that's what I was thinking. I don't know a lot of people in that business, but I'm thinking they probably did a ton of research to get it to be really accurate. So it would be just more impactful. And my husband and I were watching, he's like, this is almost getting depressing.
Oh,
Even though, we love watching them, it was like, I think this is really what it's like. And it's so sad. And it's also becoming even more apparent, right, with the current state of our
mhm.
2020 craziness going on, that it's like we don't need more of that. That's not what this world is gonna. It's not, no one's gonna heal with all of that. It's just crazy.
Oh, it's insane. You know what? It's so funny. I really wanted to watch that because I wanted to see how accurate it was, like how they were portraying it, and they nailed it. And it's just so funny. Like every time, I can't remember her character's name, but whoever Reese Witherspoon was playing, every single time her alarm went off.
Bradley,
Yes,
I think,
her.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time her alarm went off at 3:30 in the morning, which is the time that I used to have to wake up, a part of my stomach would start to like twinge a little bit. And I'd like have my like little PTSD moment of where I'm like, oh, like, gosh, I remember that. I remember that feeling. But yeah, no, since I left the news, I don't watch any network news television program at all. I get my news from podcasts, from online sources, but it's just so funny how in it I used to be. And then as soon as I'm out, I've been
all the way out.
All the way out.
Yeah, I haven't watched the news. It's been 3 years or 4 years this May. I made a conscious decision. My husband was on a business trip, and I went along with him because I just worked from the hotel. And I said, I'm just going to try a new routine this week, just to see. I'm in a new place, and I'm like, I'm not going to start the morning with the news. What am I doing? This is even for 15 minutes. This is not the way I want to start my day. Like, I'm going to do a little experiment, and I've never went back. I'm like, this does nothing for me.
Well, you want to start with positivity and something that's really going to set you up for success for the rest of the day. And I would argue that probably the news is maybe not the best way, but it is important to be informed, but just maybe get that information at a different time of day rather than like first thing when you wake up.
Yes. Or have people in your life that you trust inform you at the end of the day, which is what I do in my home. I say to my husband, if there's anything I need to know, tell me. Otherwise I don't click on anything. I'm on the computer all day long. I never read articles or have news alerts. No. It's just bad for me. You have to know what works for you, what's going to make it worse.
Yeah. And I think that's probably serving you extremely well right now, as you said, in this current state of the world, probably to just get the most important things you need to know. And then the rest is just tuned out.
Yes. So I was going to ask you my final question, but I wanted to see too, if you wouldn't mind answering about, because you had said in the beginning, I was thinking right away when you had said, when we came on the interview, that you marketing products and showcasing people's events and stuff, have you had to make adjustments, or have you, what's your mindset around things changing if the travel situation is changing and stuff like that for you? If you don't mind answering.
Oh, no, not at all. So complete pivot. And, a typical year for me, like I was going to be gone most of this year. I mean, we had so many trips planned for work, for me and my mom. And so I'm usually maybe home for 2 weeks at a time, and the rest, in between trips, and then the rest I'm gone. So my world is completely different right now. But it's hard because I had just recently started a production company with a few of my friends out in LA, and we were in the process of like what would you call that? The initial outreach process, where we were reaching out to tourism boards, hotels, everyone, kind of really starting to create those relationships when all of this happened. Mm-hmm. And so I feel right now a little frozen, because I'm like, is this an appropriate time for me to even be reaching out to maybe even some of these companies that we don't even know if they're going to be in existence when this is all said and done, which is a mind-blowing thing to wrap your mind around, but that's kind of the reality. And so what I've been focusing more on and shifting is I'm getting a lot of requests to host like Q&As or for companies that are doing kind of like these Zoom calls or conferences. They're looking for speakers or moderators. And so I've gotten some requests for that, which is, definitely a cool opportunity, but not something I ever thought I would do. I'm leaning into a lot of like content creation at home, working with brands, because that's still something that I can do. I've got a camera, I've got my phone. That's something I can do from home. And recently I just decided I'm going to try kind of dabbling in the online course space and kind of do like a fun travel spin on it with my mom. And so that's literally an idea I just had a couple days ago. So it's in its infancy, but
I have some good resources for you.
Oh, please. I would love any and all pieces of advice or resources because I never thought that would be something I would do, but just kind of ideating with a couple people, it sounds like it could be a good option. So I'm still figuring it out. Make it up every single day, because who knows what the heck tomorrow is going to bring, but that's the thing.
Yeah, no one knows. So it's a great attitude to have. And the more positive you can be about it, the quicker it's going to happen. So good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so final question. What do you wish you had learned? Well, so you're in the early stages still, but I mean, if you could pick something that you learned a little bit earlier, whether it was in high school or college, or, right at the beginning of, you're graduating and working in journalism, what do you wish you had learned just a little bit earlier?
Yeah, there's like so much. Uh, can I give you like one baby thing and then like the main
Yeah,
thing? Okay.
sure.
I don't know where I saw this, but there's like some GIF online where it shows a kind of like a graph, and it says what you think your career is going to be, and it's like a straight diagonal
Mhm.
line up, and then right next to it is another graph, and it says what your career actually looks like, and it's like a big squiggle and scribble. And
Yep.
I wish I would have seen, I didn't see that until a couple years ago, but I wish I would have seen that in the beginning, because it would have made me feel so much better about feeling unsure, or even questioning my thoughts of like, oh, well, I went to school for this career and now I'm not doing that. Is that okay? And I was always taught that it is okay to kind of, go with your gut and see where the wind blows you. But I wish I would have really embraced that concept early on. So definitely that. And then also my other big thing was like, just being authentic and not feeling as if you needed to fit into the mold of someone else. Because I thought I had to fit the mold of an anchor person or a serious reporter person. And I thought I had to do all of this checklist of things in order to attain my goals, attain where I wanted to be, and I guess pass as someone who is professional, pass as someone who knows what they're talking about. And really, I think I've found much more success when I've been so open about, I don't know what I'm doing. I make it up every single day. I think this is something I'm going to do. Who knows? We'll see what happens. And I think people have really connected with that. And so I found also too that makes other people feel okay with whatever part of their journey that they're on currently. And so I think being told that it's okay to be messy, it's okay to have not exactly a straight line or even know exactly what you want to do when you grow up would be, fantastic.
Oh, good, because that's what I've been telling my kids for years, and because I wish someone would have said the same thing to me. You pick a back in the day when I was graduating from college, you pick a major, and then you graduate, and then you get a job at that major, and that's it.
Mhm.
And if you're successful, you're at the company for 20 years, and you get promoted, and it was different back then, but it was still the same. Like, you just have to follow these 1, 2, and 3 to be at step 4, and that's not necessarily the case. I
Yeah.
love what you said about the mold. I don't need to fit this mold to be who I am, and that's exactly right. If you fit
Yeah.
into a mold, you're not being who you are. If you fit
Right.
into that anchor, put on that blazer, and act exactly how the person was acting the night before on the nighttime newscast, you're not being yourself. You're being who everyone wants you to be for that role. But then if you can't be yourself in that role, then you're not who they really need. You're just molding. And when you're molding, you're not being who you are is exhausting.
It's
Exhausting.
so exhausting. And I will say, like both of my parents always told me, be who you want to be, do what you want to do, whatever. Like I got that uh, advice
Yeah.
so often, but it wasn't until I personally believed it that was the change. Because like you can hear something over and over again and you're like, yeah, like I get it, but then it is a whole other thing when you believe that wholeheartedly yourself. And that's kind of where I felt the shift really happened, is when I fully bought into, okay, I'm done trying to be someone else, it's time to be me.
Yes, and the sooner you can get that lesson and believe it, I mean, you can't like make someone believe something, but I think you get there by doing taking those risks, like you say, jumping off, not knowing, asking questions, saying, I'm not going to be in this mold anymore. When you can do those, there's a talk show host I listen to a lot on a podcast, and saying that you don't get self-esteem by people telling you you're doing good and you're good at that and you're good at this. You manifest self-esteem by doing things that are hard and courageous, and then being proud of them. You don't just say, I wish I could be brave, and so I'm going to wait till I'm brave and then I'm going to do it. You do it, see that you can live through it and thrive after it, and then you become prouder and more secure and more brave and more courageous because wait, hey, I did this and I was fine. Now I'm going to do this and now I'm fine. And that's how you build self-esteem. You don't get it from your parents telling you everything you're doing is great or you have to do better or whatever. It's about believing it yourself, and you can't believe it yourself until you prove it to yourself.
Exactly. It's, it's just the classic adage of like, time is everything. You only learn these things over time, and you don't get wisdom immediately. You learn it over time. So just constantly learning in life.
Yes, that's definitely something I embrace as well, the constant learning. Because I mean, if you're not learning, if you're not growing or learning, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. And if you're just going to walk into something every day and put on the costume, you're not growing. And
totally.
That's not how our world gets better either. People just succumbing to things that they don't really believe in or aren't challenging themselves with. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all your insight, Allie. It was fun talking to you.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun talking to you too. I hope, I at the end of the day, I just hope that, even if just one person hears this and they, maybe have that gut feeling like they want to change their career, I hope it gives them the permission and like the hope that there is something else other than like what they're feeling right now. That's the whole reason, I'm sure, probably why you do this podcast, and hopefully why I share my story is to, empower someone else to do the same.
Of course. That's exactly right. That's exactly why I'm doing this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they